Welcome to Court Helicopter Explainer, where we are doing a special edition that covers the Law Society of Kenya elections. First and foremost, we wish, on behalf of Court Helicopter News, and on myself as Danstan Omari, an advocate of the Law Society of Kenya, the High Court of Kenya, to thank my president, Senior Counsel Kanjama. Remember, Senior Counsel Kanjama is the only presidential candidate who campaigned on the platform of Court Helicopter. And we are very grateful that out of Court Helicopter's wide reach, many of the voters voted him in, and we wish him a 2-year success as the head of the president of the Law Society of Kenya. Out of that, 3 critical questions are coming. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Senior Counsel Wetangula, was denied to vote. And why did the IBC decide that Wetangula cannot vote? Many people are saying that Wetangula was denied because he's a speaker, he's a state officer. Others are saying Orengo is a state officer. He's the current governor of Siaya. Mutula Kilonzo Jr. is a governor in Makueni. He was allowed to vote. Sifuna was allowed to vote. He's a state officer. That is Senator Sifuna. We have a Senior Counsel Omogeni, the senator, my current senator in Nyamira, voting. What is the reason that made Wetangula to be denied to vote? Now, follow very cleanly, carefully about this. The Law Society of Kenya conducts its elections after 2 years. Every 2 years. That is the reason as to why Faith Odhiambo, the Law Society of Kenya president, did not put her names in the ballot. Under the Law Society of Kenya Act, Chapter 18, the president of the Law Society of Kenya serves 1 term and she goes home. You cannot offer yourself for another term, but other positions you can continuously be available to contest. The number 2, the voter register, and that is why Wetangula was denied a chance to vote. The voter register that is used is the voter register closing on the 31st of December last year. Every voter, every lawyer, every advocate who voted yesterday was having a practicing certificate valid from 1st of January 2025 to 31st December 2025. If you are not active, you will not vote for 2026. So those advocates who are admitted in January this year, they were not in the voter register. Those advocates who had not renewed their practicing certificate for 2025 were not eligible to vote. Senior Counsel Wetangula had not renewed the practicing certificate for 2025. Therefore, his name could not be in the voters register. So, who are these people who are allowed to renew the practicing certificate? We have advocates in the private sector like Danstan Omari and any other advocate who practices in private business. You can renew your practicing certificate. Advocates in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, ODPPs, are allowed to vote, but so long as they pull out a practicing certificate from the Law Society of Kenya. 3, advocates in the office of the Attorney General who have a current practicing certificate, they are allowed to vote so long as they have pulled out a certificate. Remember, the state councils in the ODPP office and the AG's office are not required to have a practicing certificate to appear in court prosecuting their matters. They have a special license for them to appear in court. Judicial officers equally are members of the Law Society of Kenya. But if they do not have a valid practicing certificate for last year, they cannot participate in the elections. But any judge, any magistrate who has a practicing certificate can be allowed to vote. So Wetang'ula did not have a practicing certificate for last year. What about the IEBC commissioner? That is the chair of the IEBC commissioner. Ethekon, before he became the IEBC chair. Alutalala Ngwana, before he became a commissioner of the IEBC commissioner, they were practicing as advocates last year. They had practicing certificates valid for last year. And that is why the IEBC commissioner Lutalala Mwana, the IEBC chair, Ethekon, was allowed to practice, to vote in this election. But I have since checked, he has not renewed his practicing certificate for 2026. If he will not renew 2026 and 2027, we have another LSK elections coming in 2028. He will not be allowed to vote. So now you understand, there was no malice to stop the speaker from voting. Kalonzo Musyoka, senior counsel, was allowed to vote because he has a valid practicing certificate for last year. So from Court Helicopter, we will advise those ones who do not have practicing certificates like Wetang'ula not to embarrass the profession. It was quite a big embarrassment, but as senior counsel, the Speaker of the National Assembly can be chased by an IEBC clerk that his name is here. I think now he has listened to Court Helicopter and we have settled that matter, that only those who had practicing certificates for last year were allowed to vote. Anybody who was expelled, suspended, could not vote yesterday. And from Court Helicopter News, we wish you a happy LSK version, and we wish the new team that has been elected to office to deliver on the mandate. Why is this election of the Law Society of Kenya very, very critical? Why is every media, Court Helicopter, Citizen, NTV, KTN, KBC, why is it that everybody is following news about the Law Society of Kenya? We shall be giving that reasons in the next episode, that we shall be dealing with the functions of the Law Society of Kenya as provided for under Section 4 of the Law Society of Kenya Act, Chapter 18. Keep watching. Court Helicopter is back. Meanwhile, we wish to pass our condolences to our IT person, the man who has brought up Court Helicopter from zero to where it is. May God rest Lewis Lisansa Musonge in eternal peace. Lewis passed on. He got an accident while he crossing over towards Aga Khan Hospital. A matatu came from behind, hit him, plus several other teachers who died. He died on the 10th on the 11th of February, we are wishing the family grace, and we pass our condolences, and all the viewers of Court Helicopter, pole for losing your person who was in the production, who was in the website, who was the one dealing with the digital production of a Court Helicopter. Poleni kwa familia, asante.